Good to be with you. I'm Tony DeCopel. The breaking news right now.
What I'm asking for is a piece of ice.
President Trump says he has a concept of a deal with Greenland, calling it everything we wanted. But what does that actually mean? His strong arm tactics and what he said that left officials stunned in Davos.
You can say no, and we will remember.
Also developing tonight, millions under threat from a massive winter storm. More than 24 states bracing for snow, ice, and dangerous cold. Lonnie Quinn timing it out, what you need to do to prepare. The other breaking story, Prince Harry on the witness stand, his voice cracking, fighting back tears. What happened that made him so emotional?
I was born October the 8th, 1925.
And a 100-year-old helps his great-granddaughter celebrate 100 days of kindergarten. Tonight, his message to the class.
It's been a big, big change for somebody 100 years old.
From CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News with Tony DeCopel.
It's great to be with you on a very busy Wednesday night. The big news out of Davos today, that major gathering of world leaders. President Trump landing on Air Force One, then stunning the crowd with a 90-minute address. It was supposed to be about U.S. housing policy, but it turned into a long rebuttal to other world leaders. He told Canada the country, quote, lives because of us. Told the crowd, quote, you'd all be speaking German if not for America. And he mocked Emmanuel Macron of France for wearing sunglasses indoors. And yet late today, the president announced what he said was a breakthrough on U.S. control of Greenland. So let's get right to senior White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe, who is traveling with the president. Ed, what a day. Good evening to you.
That's one way to put it, Tony. The president's decision to talk more with NATO about the future of Greenland came as he backed off threats of using military force or new tariffs to get what he wants. But his fresh attacks on Europe angered close allies. As the president helicoptered into this swanky Swiss ski town, cameras caught a message for him stamped in the snow. Trump, go home. He acknowledged the tough crowd attending his speech.
So many friends, few enemies.
And made clear he wanted to acquire Greenland, but without using the military.
I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force.
That was a relief for Danish officials who control the island and who had beefed up the security presence on Greenland in recent days. Trump's Arctic focus is widely opposed by Americans, including some here in Davos, like potential future presidential candidate, Kentucky Democratic Governor Andy Beshear.
This is pretty damn stupid. Now, you look at what it means going after territory from another member of NATO. That is crossing a red line. And the American people, we don't think about Greenland for 5 minutes each day.
North Carolina Republican Senator Tom Tillis agrees.
This is drama or a false crisis.
He thinks Trump should use existing agreements with Greenland and NATO to bolster America's military presence on the island.
There's a way to achieve what the president rightfully points out we need to achieve in the Arctic without any of this drama, without any of this discord, and without any of the threat to the long-term stability and reliability of the NATO alliance.
And while Trump now says he has an agreement to sort out a Greenland plan with NATO and European leaders, his speech notably attacked them.
We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones.
Especially NATO.
I mean, we've helped them for so many years. We've never gotten anything, except we pay for NATO.
But NATO did rally around the U.S. after 9/11, and soldiers from 25 NATO countries fought and died alongside American forces in Afghanistan during the 2-decade conflict. After weeks of threats and confusion over Greenland, a top European Union official says ending trade with the U.S. is now on the table.
And the European Union has the power and the tools to do so.
Ed, we know the president has dropped his tariff threat. The markets like that, but the Europeans had threatened to retaliate. Are they backing down too?
No, not yet. Several top European leaders tonight still expressing skepticism that the president's really going to back off those new tariffs. One German official quoted as saying, we cannot sit back, relax, and be satisfied. So they're talking about using what they call a bazooka tariff, up to $100 billion in new tariffs against goods and services sold into the United States. All of that would mean higher prices for American customers. Tony.
All right, Ed, thank you very much. Let's bring in Face the Nation moderator and chief foreign affairs correspondent Margaret Brennan. Margaret, great to have you here. I know you've been working your sources this afternoon into the evening. What are you hearing about this, quote, concept of a deal the president mentioned for Greenland?
Well, Tony, there is no diplomatic deal for U.S. ownership or control of Greenland. That is still a red line for both Denmark and Greenland. But today, a breakthrough was reached in terms of President Trump signaling that he's willing to consider a middle ground proposal from NATO. Diplomatic sources tell me there is a framework that would ramp up security on Greenland beyond the existing 1951 U.S. agreement. That's back when the U.S. had multiple military bases there. This would also increase NATO's role with the specific intent of blocking Russia and China from gaining a foothold. But this all has to be negotiated still with Denmark and Greenland.
Yeah, there's a lot of work still to do. Margaret, the president has been critical of NATO, critical of Europe for years now, but you still hear people saying that they were shocked, stunned even by the president's pursuit of Greenland and that speech today. What makes this feel different?
Well, Tony, the criticism turned to actual threats. And keep in mind, America projects power around the world by keeping troops located on the soil of many of those same NATO countries. The U.S. keeps nuclear weapons in 5 of them. That is how interlinked our security is, and trust is fundamental to it. But there at Davos, you're seeing leaders agree. The post-World War II rules-based order is done. Canada's prime minister basically said, we're going back to might makes right. He described a rupture in the world order and a new one in which China is a more, as he put it, predictable partner than the United States. He's basically saying America's chief adversary here is finding opportunity by picking off our allies based on their own self-interest.
It was a big day. Margaret, thank you very much. We're going to turn now to the major weather threat, one of the most extreme winter storms in years, threatening more than half the country. Nearly 200 million Americans could get hit this weekend by snow, ice, and a blast of Arctic air. Usher Qureshi is in Chicago.
Back-to-back winter storms are battering the east, dumping nearly 4 feet of snow in parts of New York since Sunday. Transportation officials now warning drivers to stay off the roads or risk dangerous whiteout conditions. Cities to the south are also feeling the freeze. Temperatures dropping to the teens today in Philadelphia. And in Pittsburgh, city workers called in a barge to break up ice on the Allegheny River after it blocked the intake at a water treatment plant this week. Chicago got a break from bitter cold today, but temperatures could feel like negative 40 degrees here by the end of the week. A problem if you have to be outside.
Today I got out this morning and I thought, ooh, it's not too bad out here.
It's not too bad. And you know it's been bad when 29 feels toasty.
Another significant winter storm is shaping up to hit the southern plains and move across the south heading into the weekend.
If you have preparations to make, now is the time to be doing that.
In Tennessee, freezing rain is expected to create a layer of ice more than an inch thick, alerting emergency officials to prepare for power outages.
If we were to have a cascading effect of power outages and then the extreme cold to follow that out, that is a very concerning thing for us.
American and Delta are 2 airlines already getting ahead of the next round of winter weather, both now dropping flight change fees in hopes of lessening travel headaches when the storm hits. Tony?
All right, Usher, thank you very much. Let's get the forecast now from Lonnie Quinn. He is near Central Park here in New York. Lonnie, this is supposed to be a major ice event. What can people do to prepare?
All right, well, you prepare for power outages. Nothing takes a tree down, Tony, or a tree limb down like ice, all right? That makes the limb so heavy it snaps, takes power out. So if you live in an area that has electric heat, for example, well, you got to go out and you got to buy wood for the fireplace, buy blankets to wrap around your pipes. And the amount of ice that we're talking about is sizable. Anywhere from Texas into the Carolinas, this could be 3/4 of an inch of ice, if not up to an inch of ice. Make your preparations for a place like Texas, Oklahoma tomorrow. By Friday, you're into it. You cannot drive on icing. Snowfall could be up to 1 foot or more. And as that storm transitions into the northeast, by Sunday into Monday, portions of the northeast could be seeing 1 foot or more of some snow. So the timing, like I said, Oklahoma and Texas, Friday, you're dealing with this storm. Make your preps tomorrow. The mid-Atlantic, the southeast, you're going to be dealing with this on Saturday, and Sunday it is into the northeast. Everybody make your preps a day ahead of time. You don't want to be doing it while the storm is in your backyard. And Tony, for a place like New York City, we haven't had a storm like this in years. If it plays out, keep in mind, it hasn't even formed yet.
All right, Lonnie, good advice. Thank you very much. We're going to turn now to new developments in the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Late today, we received a copy of an internal ICE memo authorizing federal agents to forcibly enter homes without a warrant from a judge. The directive was provided to Congress by whistleblowers who say this goes against standard training in the Department of Homeland Security. Tonight, Nicole Skanga has new reporting on how immigrants in Minnesota are responding to what's happening there.
In St. Paul, Minnesota's Hmong Village, empty stalls line a once busy marketplace.
On a normal day, all of these stalls would be open.
It's a sign, the city's mayor explains, of the deeply rooted fear spreading within immigrant communities.
They're afraid to leave their homes. They're afraid to let their children go to school.
Mayor Kali Her says that fear has driven naturalized U.S. citizens, including her own parents, to hide in their homes.
When I talk to them and they're telling me they are more afraid now than they were fighting communism in Laos during the secret war.
Top Homeland Security officials have declared Operation Metro Surge, laser focused on arresting what DHS calls the worst of the worst. Convicted felons and violent offenders accusing Minnesota officials of not cooperating.
Since President Trump took office 1 year ago today, the state of Minnesota has released nearly 500 criminal aliens who were in police or state custody rather than turning them over to ICE.
If ICE has a detainer, they want them to take custody of them, we will facilitate the transfer of custody, period.
Commissioner Paul Schnell oversees Minnesota's Department of Corrections, including the state's prison system.
Does it feel like the Department of Homeland Security is lying when it says that state authorities are not cooperating?
It is fundamentally false. We cooperate with ICE and ICE detainers. We have, as a matter of policy, done that for a long, long time.
The Department of Homeland Security says roughly 450 criminals have been released into Minnesota's streets. And you say you don't know where that number comes from?
We have no idea where that number comes from. We know that we released 84 people.
To ICE?
To ICE, that were subject to detainers. And so this notion that Minnesota is not honoring federal ICE detainers is utterly untrue.
CBS News reached out to the Department of Homeland Security for clarity. The department responded just moments ago, doubling down on their numbers. They again are asking Minnesota elected officials to honor all ICE detainers. Tony.
Nicole, thank you very much. Now to the Supreme Court, where Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell made an appearance today, not for himself, but as a show of support for Fed Governor Lisa Cook, whom President Trump has been attempting to fire in an unprecedented move. Chief legal correspondent Jan Crawford is following this landmark test of the central bank's independence.
Embattled Federal Reserve Board Governor Lisa Cook's fight to stay on the job got a boost Wednesday as Supreme Court justices appeared skeptical of President Trump's efforts to fire her. Liberal Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Now, it's not as if she's been incompetent, negligent, or committed malfeasance while in office.
Conservative Justice Samuel Alito.
Is there any reason why this whole matter had to be handled by everybody in such a hurried manner?
The president announced on social media in August that he was firing Cook immediately for cause, saying she committed fraud on a mortgage application before President Biden appointed her in 2023 to her 14-year term. Cook denies the allegations and argues she never got a chance to defend herself, a point Justice Elena Kagan drove home.
The president just really has to say, Ms. Cook, you're fired.
Throughout the argument, the justices were troubled by how the case could affect the Fed's independence. The president has made no secret he wants to oust Chairman Jerome Powell.
We should be paying the lowest interest rate of any country in the world.
The Justice Department now is investigating his oversight of renovations at Fed headquarters.
A lot of very expensive work.
Possibly laying the groundwork for his removal if the court allows the president to fire Cook. Justice Brett Kavanaugh worried the case could politicize the Fed over the long term.
Well, history's a pretty good guide. Once these tools are unleashed, they are used by both sides, and usually more the second time around.
Now, Kavanaugh said what goes around comes around, and so this could really incentivize a president to come up with trivial or old allegations that are hard to disprove. And he suggested that that could weaken, if not destroy, the independence of the Fed. Tony?
And then what? Jan Crawford, thank you very much. Turning to one of the deadliest days in Gaza since October's ceasefire between Hamas and Israel, an Israeli airstrike today killed 3 journalists. Israel said it was targeting a group operating a drone affiliated with Hamas. One of those journalists, Abed Sha'at, has worked for CBS as a photographer. His colleagues described the 30-year-old as a brave person doing dangerous work. He was married just 2 weeks ago. To Ford now, a recall involving more than 300,000 vehicles over a problem that could spark a fire under the hood. The recall applies to some versions of the Ford Focus sedan, the MKC crossover, the Ford Explorer, and the Ford Escape SUV sold over the past decade. The automaker reports no one has been hurt, but that the vehicles have a potential issue with engine block heaters. Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, the heroes at a fiery car crash in Texas. Tonight, video coming in of a police rescue near Houston. Take a look at what happened after a head-on collision between two cars early Saturday. Harris County deputies ran up to the fiery crash, pulling a man from a burning SUV. He's expected to be okay. The other driver died right there on the scene. 5 of the biggest alcohol makers in the world are sitting on what's described as a lake of unsold alcohol. $22 billion worth of inventory, according to the Financial Times, a result of people drinking less than they used to. And to think there's still a week to go in dry January. Up next, why Prince Harry appeared to be on the verge of tears in a London courtroom today. Today, Prince Harry testified for hours in a London courtroom as part of his years-long battle with British tabloids. He spoke of the emotional toll the, quote, 24-hour surveillance had on him and his family. The publisher of the Daily Mail has called the accusations, quote, preposterous. Elizabeth Palmer has more now from London.
This is the third time Prince Harry is suing one of Britain's tabloids for invasion of privacy, and he looked cheerful arriving in court. As a member of Britain's royal family, Harry spent decades in the public eye at orchestrated photo opportunities. But this lawsuit alleges the Daily Mail went much further and broke the law to steal his personal information with phone hacks and private investigators, especially for articles about an old girlfriend, Chelsea Davy. On the witness stand today, Harry told the judge intrusive media had made him paranoid. And apparently on the verge of tears, he said, referring to Meghan Markle, "They have made my wife's life an absolute misery." 6 public figures, including Elton John and the actor Liz Hurley, are part of this lawsuit with Prince Harry, all seeking compensation from the Daily Mail. Prince Harry isn't publicity shy. After all, he's written a tell-all memoir of his own, but he is on a mission to expose the tabloids for intruding on him illegally, and he has already won against them in court twice.
Elizabeth Palmer for us. Liz, thank you very much. Still ahead, keeping it 100 at a kindergarten show and tell. We are back with the good stuff tonight. That time of the year when many kindergartners are marking the 100th day of school, a major milestone often celebrated by bringing 100 things to school, typically things like Legos or candies. But at St. Thomas More School in Decatur, Georgia, KJ Shemansky brought just one very special thing, her 100-year-old great-grandfather. She and Sonny dressed alike for the occasion and took questions from the rest of the class. Questions like, is Sonny the oldest guy you know? He is, says KJ, but also questions about the past, and Sonny let them know that a whole lot had changed. But it is still true that all you really need to know in life you can learn in kindergarten, and Sonny was there to tell them. The secret, he said, to a long, happy life is family. Although KJ's advice was a bit of kindergarten wisdom, too, she said, remember to wash your hands. Hear, hear, KJ. And that's another day in America. For all of us here at CBS News, I'm Tony DeCopel in New York. See you tomorrow. Good night for now.